picking up on the bottom of page 36 of the PDF, Antigone says, "Land of Thebes, city of all my fathers, O you gods, the first gods of the race, they drag me away now, no more delay. Look on me, you noble sons of Thebes, the last of a great line of kings. I alone see what I suffer now at the hands of what breed of men, all for reverence, my reverence for the gods." Okay? City of all my fathers. She's referring, and you got a footnote, she's referring to this notion, she would consider it a fact, that her family, her entire family, Oedipus, Laius, are descended from Cadmus, the legendary founder of Thebes. And you've got the footnote, that Cadmus's wife was a daughter of Aphrodite and Ares, two gods. All right? So those who are descended from Cadmus and his wife have the blood of gods, so to speak, in them. So the city of all my fathers, you gods, the first gods of the race, etc., they drag me away. Who's the they? Is it the first gods of the race? Probably not. Okay? It's the first gods of the race is Cadmus and Aphrodite and Ares. They drag me away, meaning the messenger who's getting ready to take me out, or the chorus, whoever takes her out. Look on me, you noble sons of Thebes, the last of a great line of kings. The noble sons of Thebes are not the last of the great line of kings. Antigone is. She is the last living person of the house of Cadmus, is what's being suggested. Why? Creon is married into, well, he's not even married into the family. Creon is Jocasta's brother, right? Oedipus's wife / mother. Jocasta was married into the family because she married Laius. Laius is the one who's descended from Cadmus. So look on me, the last of a great line of kings. I alone see what I suffer now at the hands of what breed of men. I alone. What? Is she saying, I alone see? Or, I alone, last of the line of kings, see what I suffer now at the hands of what breed of men? The what breed of men? She's implying this guard, troop of men, troop of soldiers that are leading me away, they're lower than me because she's descended from the gods. All for reverence, my reverence for the gods. And the reason she's being led away, she is suggesting, is because of her following the great, unshakable, unwritten traditions of the gods. And they take her out. Chorus then gets a long speech, and you've got a very long footnote about it. And what the chorus does is the chorus tries to find analogs to compare Antigone's impending fate to. And you get Danae mentioned, who was walled up either in a tower or in a cave, different versions, to keep her away from her fiancé. Zeus comes into the tower or cave via sunlight, impregnates her, she has a son, Perseus, etc., who ends up later on killing his grandfather. And then we get another example of somebody walled up in a cave, okay? So go through all that, and we get down to the end of the chorus's speech. Page 39, 88 or so. Even on her the fates, the great everlasting fates, rode hard, my child, my child. That is, the her is going back to Danae. Okay? Tyreus now comes in. At line 1090. Who sent for him? Why does he show up? Lords of Thebes, I and the boy have come together hand in hand to see with the eyes of one, so the blind must go with a guide to lead the way. I can't find my way, so the boy leads me. We see with his eyes. Or we, myself and him, see via his eyes. But there's also more going on in that little speech. He's saying others sometimes need somebody else's eyes to see properly. Who, like in Oedipus the king, who has eyes but doesn't see? Who? Crayon. Crayon, the king. Who doesn't have eyes but sees clearly? Tyreus. Okay? So Crayon says, what is it? Old Tyreus. What news now? And when he says old Tyreus, he doesn't mean, doddering fool. He just is saying something about Tyreus' age. And by the way, in all the Greek plays and stuff that I've read, and I've read quite a few years and years ago. I haven't read them in over 30 years. Except for once when I was teaching a couple classes a couple years ago. Tyreus is always presented as really old. He's like 80 or 90. And he's in every work, he's always that age. We never see Tyreus as a young man. Okay? What news? I will teach you, and you obey the seer. Now, Haman earlier tried to teach him, and he said, what, are we to be schooled by boys his age? And the leader kind of says, well, if they're smart and right, I've never wavered. I will obey you. I've never wavered from your advice before. Got a little footnote, okay? Notice this may be just an acknowledgement of the omnipresence of Tyreus in Theban affairs over many generations. Okay? And so you kept the city straight on course. What is being talked about here is this implication that during the troubles, let's say after Oedipus's reign, Tyreus was the one who gave Oedipus's sons, who ruled for a while, and then Crayon, advice on how to be a smart ruler. Okay? Notice the next sentence of the footnote. It may refer to a legend that Tyreus advised Crayon during the attack by the Seven. There's a play, Seven Against Thebes, about 7 kings, etc. So, the audience would have known all this. Crayon, I owe you a great deal. That is, you're right. You helped me. Then reflect, my son. You are poised once more on the razor edge of fate. Why does Tyreus call Crayon his son? He's not literally. Is that just to show age difference? Could be. What else could it show?
Wisdom.
Louder?
Difference in wisdom.
Wisdom difference. Okay. What else can it show? I mean, you're really close to what I'm looking for. Kind of like teacher-pupil difference. Okay. My boy, sit down and listen to what I have to teach you or tell you. And then he says, you're poised, notice, once more. You've been standing there on the razor edge of fate. That is one step and you're gone. What is it? I shudder to hear you. Ooh, this is serious stuff. You're scaring me. You will learn when you listen to the warnings of my craft. Okay? And Tyreus describes the results of 2 different means of augury or divination, if you want, foretelling the future. All right? The first one, I sat on the ancient seat of augury, and that probably refers to a literal place, location, not necessarily a chair. Okay? And he says, what did he do? In the sanctuary where every bird I know will hover at my hand, suddenly I heard a strange voice in the wing beats, unintelligible, barbaric, a mad scream, talons flashing, ripping. They were killing each other. So somewhere where he has these birds, and he can tell by the sounds of the birds, and the birds are killing each other. not a peaceful image, not a productive means of augury. He can't divine the future from that. What that's telling him is there's chaos, there's strife ahead. So he says, I was afraid. So I turned to the other means, animal sacrifice, right? And the boy, who he has with him all the time, since he can't see, the boy tells him what he sees when they do the fire, the burning of the various parts of the bird and stuff. And he tells what happened. The fire the fire didn't burn. The fire was sputtering and put out. The rites failed, 1120, that might have blazed the future with a sign. Blazed, brightly shone, or like when blazing a trail marked the future, like when you mark a tree so that you don't get lost. So I learned from the boy here, he is my guide, as I am guide to others. It's you. Your high resolve sets this plague on Thebes. What plague? The fact that these offerings and these divinations don't work. The public altars and sacred hearths are fouled, one and all, by what? Little bits and pieces of Polynices' body. He doesn't mean that necessarily literally. He means it metaphorically. By the very fact that Polynices hasn't been buried, and birds and dogs have been tearing bits and pieces of his body off, that metaphorically has fouled all the sacrifices. That is, the sacrifices aren't being honored. They're not being listened to by the gods. And so the gods are deaf to our prayers. They spurn the offerings in our hands, the flame of holy flesh. No birds cry out in open, clear, and true. They're gorged with the murdered victim's blood and fat. Take these things to heart, my son. Again, my son, young one. I'm trying to teach you. I'm trying to train you. I warn you, all men make mistakes. It is only human. Who else essentially said the same thing earlier in this same play? His son did. His son did. And his son said, you know, sometimes young people can have wisdom too, if they've learned from mistakes and experiences. Okay? All men make mistakes. It's only human. But once the wrong is done, a man can turn his back on folly. Misfortune too. Again, Haman earlier said, learn from me. He tells him to do what? Change. Learning means what? Is it just receiving information, according to Sophocles at least? No. It's receiving information, and that information does what internally? Like eating. It changes you. C.S. Lewis, in a book that he wrote on criticism, literary criticism, called An Experiment in Criticism, tells us at least what he thought literary works should do to us, and what good books do as opposed to, well, he actually even says bad books do the same thing. You don't just read it and scan it for information. You read it so that it becomes part of you. It changes you from that moment on. It may not be ground-breaking, earth-shattering change. It might be a little subtle change. Okay? Once the wrong is done, a man can turn his back on folly. What's folly? What's the root? The word it's related to? Fool. Foolishness. Fool. A fool shows his folly. Okay? Misfortune too. You can turn your back on misfortune. And what he means by that is you can change your fortune. if he tries to make amends, however low he's fallen, and stops his bull-necked ways. Okay? So how do you change your fate? I mean, we've talked about fate. Can't be changed. Fortune and fate, very similar. They're not exactly identical, but they're similar. He says, you can change misfortune. Misfortune, he is suggesting, is brought about by what? Lack of wisdom. You do stupid things. And if you don't learn from them, you put your hand on a hot stove once. You're more than likely not going to do it again, right? Because it hurts. Okay? You try to walk through, because, physicists say, well, there's really nothing that's solid because there's so much space between the atoms, etc. You should be able to just put your hand, or you walk into a wall enough times and you're eventually going to learn. The wall is solid. Don't do that. Okay? You get caught speeding enough, you stop speeding, because next time, license is yanked. So you can change that misfortune. Stubbornness brands you for stupidity. See, stupidity isn't the same as lack of wisdom. Stupidity means, stubborn. I should be able to, because it's not solid, to walk. And you do that a few times. Again, I know people who are 60 years old, dumber than the floor I'm walking on in terms of wisdom. They don't learn from mistake. They keep doing the same stupid thing over and over and over again. That's why he says, stubbornness brands you for stupidity. Pride is a crime. He doesn't mean legal crime. And being stupid isn't illegal, right? Being stupid isn't a crime. I mean, maybe it should be. Don't get me going. I would say there's a lot of people we shouldn't allow to vote. Just to keep them as far away from a voting booth as possible. Another topic. Pride is a crime. A crime against whom? Against what? Yusuf's over there going. The gods. Because what do you do with pride? You say, I don't like my little lot in life. I'm going to take a higher lot in life. We're going to see how bad Crayon's pride is in just a moment. He's essentially going to challenge Zeus. Not one of the stupid little lesser peon gods. Zeus, the sky father, okay? The all father, the mightiest of the gods, right? No, yield to the dead. Does that mean yield to Polynices? In one sense, yes. But it means to yield to the whole realm of the dead. Bear in mind, who's the god of the dead? Who is? Brother of Zeus. And who's the other brother? Anybody know? Poseidon. God of the water, god of the air, god of the underworld, which also kind of includes fire. Okay? That's actually Hephaestus, but Anyways, never stab the fighter when he's down. It doesn't mean the fighter who's still moving. It's okay to stab that one because he might get back up. But once he's dead, can he hurt you anymore? No. Where's the glory killing the dead twice over? So, I mean you well. I want the best for you, Crayon. I give you sound advice. It's best to learn from a good advisor, right? What do we want presidents to have? Good, sound advisors. One of the reasons, people sometimes vote for a certain candidate is we see the kind of people the candidate chooses to have around him or herself, the kind of advisors. You look at those people and you see what they've done in their lives, you go, well, okay, that's, this person has run XYZ company or conducted XYZ war or whatever. When he speaks for your own good, because sometimes advisors speak for what? Yeah, their own good. Crayon. Old man. All of you. Who's the all of you? Who else has been speaking? Nobody else has been speaking. He's throwing or trapping the chorus in his net. Okay? You shoot your arrows at my head like archers at the target. I even have him loosed on me, this fortune teller. Notice the tense. I have him loosed on me. What does that imply? He's implying somebody is sent for crayon. Who? Of course. You had to bring him in? Oh, his ilk has tried to sell me short and ship me off for years. What's he mean by his ilk? Have you ever heard or used that phrase, ilk? You and your ilk, what does it mean? You and your kind. You and others like you. It's never used in a positive context. Never. It's always used in a sense where you are demeaning the person and those like him or her. Okay? Drive your bargains, traffic much as you like, in the gold of India, the silver, gold, blah, blah. He's saying, you and everybody else like you, you're in it for what? The money. You'll never bury that body in the grave. And here it is. Not even if Zeus's eagles rip the corpse and wing their rotten pickings off to the throne of God. If they take bits of Polynices' body up to the top of Mount Olympus itself, he's just put himself over Zeus. If I were members of the chorus, I'd be backing up. It's like every now and then, be going somewhere, family be going out to eat, and one of my kids will say something, and I'm like, it's not me, God. Strike him down. He's just uttered things you don't utter. Never, not even in fear of such defilement, will I tolerate his burial, that traitor. Well, I know we can't defile the gods. What's meant by defile? It's like metaphorically picking up a handful of mud and throwing it at Zeus. You're not going to make Zeus's white robe, his shining glory, somehow dirty. Why? Untouchable. It's it. Nothing a puny human can do can damage the glory of the gods. No mortal has the power. No, Reverend old Tyreus, he's being sarcastic. Reverend means one worthy of reverence. Reverence doesn't mean worship or devotion. It just means high praise. All men fall. It's only human. All men, what did Tyreus say? Make mistakes. It's only human. Now, Crayon kind of turns it. All men fall. It's only human. But the wisest fall obscenely. In other words, you're off your mark, old man. You blew it on this one. When they glorify obscene advice with rhetoric, you are using rhetoric, words, logic, means of persuasion. For what purpose? And obscenity. All for their own gain. You're doing this for some reason. Somebody's giving you something for this. Where have we heard that before? Oedipus. Oedipus leveled the same charge. Oh God. Is there a man alive, who knows, who actually believes? And Crayon cuts him off. What now? What what earth-shattering truth are you about to utter? Oh God, is there a man alive who knows, who actually believes just how much a sense of judgment, wisdom is the greatest gift we have? Is there anyone who realizes and believes that wisdom, a sense of judgment, he says, is the greatest gift? If it's a gift, it's given by somebody. The gods. What's his point? You've squandered your gift, Crayon. Crayon, yeah, just as much I'd say as a twisted mind is the worst affliction known. So, wisdom, sense of judgment, yeah, those are the greatest gift. And the opposite of that, the worst thing that can happen is a twisted mind. Crayon's implying Tyreus is the one with the twisted mind. Tyreus, it's almost like ping pong. Bats the ball back onto his side of the table. You're the one who's sick, Crayon. Sick to death. Ping, back over. I'm in no mood to trade insults with a seer. Bing, you have already, calling my prophecies a lie. Bing, you and the whole breed of seers. Again, exact same charge, Oedipus level. All you prophets prophesy for material gain. Okay? Are you aware you're speaking to the king, Crayon says? You do know who I am, right? Well aware. Who helped you save the city? What's the real meaning of Tyreus' words?
You wouldn't be king if it weren't king.
And you are king. Why? Yeah, that's exactly it. He's almost at a loss for words. You have your skills, old seer, but you lust for injustice. He's saying burying Polynices would be an injustice. You keep this up, you're going to drive me to utter the dreadful secret of my heart. And we see what happened when that happened in Oedipus the king. You keep baiting me, and I'm going to say what I really think. Spit it out. Just don't take money for it. Profit? No, but a bit of profit. Not a bit of profit, not for you. Meaning, see, does profit have to be money? You can profit from immaterial things. Learning, for example, changing one's ways. Tyreus is telling us, he's foreshadowing, I'm going to give him the whole truth, both barrels, and he's not going to learn from it. He will gain no profit from it. You'll never buy off my resolve. He says, all right. Here it is. Know this. Learn it by heart. Memorize it. The chariot of the sun will not race through so many circuits more before you have surrendered one born of your own loins. Your own flesh and blood, a corpse for corpse is given in return, since you have thrust to the world below, a child sprung for the world above, ruthlessly lodged, a living soul within the grave. Then you've robbed the gods below the earth, keeping a dead body here in the bright air, unburied, unsung, unhallowed by the rites. The chariot of the sun will not race through so many circuits more. Means the sun will not set before you're going to lose one of your own children. How many children does Crayon have? We don't know how many he had. We do know, because we've been told, he only has one left. Your son Haman's going to die before the sun sets. Why? Because it's a corpse for a corpse. Eye for an eye. Okay? And because you've robbed the gods below. You have no business with the dead. Business, interaction, commerce in the sense of dealings with, nor do the gods above. Zeus, Apollo, Athena, realm of the dead, not their business. Whose business is it? Furies and Hades. Nor do the gods above, this is violence you have forced upon the heavens. And so the avengers, the dark destroyers, late but true to the mark, now lie in wait for you, the Furies sent by the gods. What does that mean? Late but true to the mark. We have a saying, modern American, modern English, justice delayed. What's the rest of the phrase? Anybody know? Is justice denied. The Furies sometimes delay their justice. They're going to get you. It may not be today. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be the next day. When my kids were little, we'd do things, my son would play a prank on me or something, one of my sons, and I'd always say, Nathaniel, it's coming. You don't know when, you don't know where. College, give you another example, just totally off the point. College, roommate who lived next door in the dorm, did something one day, I don't remember what, played some prank. And we had these fold-out beds, they became a couch during the day. And the thing about these is you could climb in behind the mattress, the seat, when it's a couch, and then it would get folded out and you could still be there. And so one night before this one guy went to bed, I got behind. And he was kind of a touchy guy, touchy-jumpy. And he lies down, and I give him like a good 20 minutes, and then I just reach out of nowhere and do right on the middle of his chest. I'm not kidding. He was like a cat. He was like 6 feet in the air. He sprung so high. Red, hardly breathing, and I just about everything laughing so hard. Right? The Furies will get you. Bank on it. Okay? Sent by the gods and the God of death. Hades will not be denied. To strike you down with the pains that you perfected. That is, the pains you're going to get, you completed them. You made them so exquisite, so fine, that you're going to experience them. There. You wanted me to spit it out? There. Reflect on that. Tell me how I've been bribed. The day comes soon, no long test of time, not now, when the morning cries for men and women break throughout your halls. Notice, morning cries for men and women. Not morning cries of men and women. People will be lamenting at least one dead man and at least one dead woman. I think it's going to be more. I think it's going to be 2 dead men and 2 dead women. Well, we already know 1 dead man, right? Polynices. Who else? It's pretty clear. Haman. Who else? Where's Antigone at this point? In the cave or on her way there. One of the 2. Okay? What other woman? We don't know yet, but it comes up pretty quick. Okay? He says you'll never escape their burning. That is, the burning of the arrows that he shot at him. And then Tyreus says to his servant, boy, take me home, so he can vent his rage on younger men and learn to keep a gentler tongue in his head and better sense than what he carries now. Take me home, he can rail at the chorus, and maybe he'll learn to shut his blinking mouth and get some sense. Tyreus leaves. He doesn't show up again. The old man's gone making terrible prophecies. Since he got gray hair, he's never lied. Meaning, he's never been wrong. I know it. What does Cran start to show with, I know it myself? He's not at ease. I'm shaken, torn. It's a dreadful thing to yield. What does that mean, to yield? Drivers in Murfreesboro don't seem to understand that idea. Yield when you're coming off the highway on the old Ford or something. That means you slow down while the other cars keep going. It doesn't mean cut them off as fast as you can. Yield means I have to give up my will. But resist now? Resist what? The gods? Lay my pride bare to the blows of ruin? That's dreadful too. What does he mean? Lay my pride bare to the blows of ruin. What does he think may happen if he gives in on this? Let's go back to another story. Will he become like Bailey? Daddy, I want no. But Daddy, I want no. Okay, you can have it this time. But Daddy, I want. You give in once? It's why almost. I'm trying to think of an example. I can't think of a living president, or dead president for that matter, whoever that was alive when I was alive, whoever, when he was in office, since we've only had male presidents, admitted an error in terms of an action taken. I can't think of a single one who says, that was pretty damn stupid of me. The whole Iraq War, shouldn't have done that. Whatever, shouldn't have done that. Even, after 1990, George Bush 1 was elected with, read my lips, no new taxes. 2 years later, new taxes. He never said afterwards, those damn Democrats, they pulled a fast one over me. I thought they were going to help me. Duh. Okay? That's dreadful. Good advice, Crayon. Take it now. Notice, does it just say take it? Take it now. What's the now imply? What does now always mean? Immediately. Okay? What should I do? Tell me, I'll obey. Right? Tyreus didn't tell him what to do, did he? He warned him that if he keeps on the current path, so the leader gives him very good advice. Notice the order of the events in the advice. Free the girl from the rocky vault. Number 1, raise a mount for the body you exposed. Number 2, why in that order? It's a very logical reason. Louder?
Otherwise she'll die.
Because Antigone is still alive, whereas Polynices is going to remain dead. But if he goes to Polynices first, Antigone can join him in death. That's your advice? You think I should give in? Yeah, quickly. Disaster sent by the gods. Cut short our follies, our foolish actions in a flash. Guess what? We're going to see that. Why? Because he does a foolish action. He attempts to bend. It's hard giving up the heart's desire. I'll do it. No more fighting a losing battle with necessity. What are among the hardest words for anyone to say to another person? Not I love you.
I'm sorry.
Why?
Because
Because it sucks.
you were wrong.
You have to admit you were wrong. Okay? The heart's desire is what? I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong about anything. Everything I say to you in here, totally true and right. Bullshit. I'm wrong an awful lot of times. The other day from one of my other classes, I had to post a note on the class D12. Oh, by the way, here's an error I made and I'm clearing it up. Okay? Do it now. Don't leave it to others. What happened the last time we saw a major prophecy left to others to stop the prophecy from happening? Laius, Jocasta, baby, murder, incest. What did they not do themselves? Oh, here's the head, as she's delivering the little baby. They didn't kill Oedipus themselves. They should have. And I'm not for abortion, so, it's pretty strong. Do it now. And he says, I will. I'm doing it. I'm on my way. I shackled her. I'll free her myself. He didn't personally shackle her. He gave the orders. Okay? He rushes out. Chorus gets a long speech. Messenger comes in without good news. Okay? And we're told, 1276. Fortune lifts and fortune fells the lucky and unlucky every day. Fortune is being portrayed with her wheel. It's where we have the stupid game show, the Wheel of Fortune. This idea goes back at least 2,500 years. Okay? That Fortune is a goddess, and she stands there with a big wheel, and we can see this in images, we see it in all kinds of literature, and she sits there and spins the Wheel of Fortune of our life. And there's not, Vanna White off to the side doing the letters. So on this wheel, where do you want to be? You don't get to say in the hub, because when you're in the exact center of that, you don't move. You want to be on this side, right? This is rising. You're getting to the top. What's the top of Fortune's wheel? Everything's going great in your life. Just absolutely wonderfully. But what happens when you reach the top? Yeah, it goes back down. In other words, life's good, life sucks. Once you hit the top, sometimes it seems like you're up here forever. But Fortune's wheel will keep turning. Where was Oedipus at the beginning of the play? Oh, he was right here. Okay? There's Crayon at the beginning of the play. He's up here. So, no prophet on earth can tell a man his fate. Why not? Because it changes. Okay? No prophet on earth can tell a man his fate. Take Crayon. There is a man to rouse your envy. And again, according to Aristotle, the protagonist has to be somebody that we don't necessarily identify with, but someone we look up to. Someone that we would go, man, I wish I had that person's life. Until down here. He saved the realm from enemies, taking power, he alone, blah, 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 blah. When a man has squandered his true joys, he's good as dead, I tell you, a living corpse. Okay? Leader. What do you mean? What now? What new grief? Dead, dead. And the living are guilty. Who's dead? Notice the messenger doesn't say. Crayon's dead, Who's the murderer? Who's dead? Tell us. Haman's gone. Blood spilled by the very hand. His father's? Leader jumps to the, conclusion. Why? Last time the leader saw Haman and Crayon talking, it wasn't a father-son heart to heart, it was something else. His own, raging mad with his father for the death. Oh, great seer, you saw it all. Those are the facts. Deal with them as you will. And Eurydice comes in. Haman's mother, Crayon's wife. And she said, I heard something. It disturbed me. I wanted to come out and find out the truth. And the messenger says, I'm an eyewitness. I'll tell you everything. So I escorted your lord, that is your husband. I led him to the what? To the edge of the plain where the body lay. Polynice, torn by the dogs. Saying a prayer to Hecate of the crossroads, Pluto too, hold their anger, be kind. We washed the dead in a bath of holy water. We plucked some fresh branches. We had a tea and crumpets and, What's he do first? What did the leader advise him to do? he stops and buries Polynices' body, and seemingly they take their sweet time doing it. And far off, that is, while finishing the touches, they hear a voice wail out of that unhallowed wedding chamber. Unhallowed, the opposite of holy. What wedding chamber? Where Antigone went to marry Death. And they run in, and they go to the back of the cave, and they find what? Antigone hung by her own linen belt, like mother, like daughter. Okay? And they find Haman holding on to her, clinging to her, wailing in sorrow. 1355, Crayon says, "Oh, my child, what have you done? What seized you? What insanity? What disaster drove you mad?" Who's the "oh, my child"? It's not Haman. Haman's alive because he's screaming. It's Antigone. What, he says, what disaster drove you mad? Okay, put yourself in Antigone's shoes for a moment. You get walled up inside a cave with a little bit of water, a little bit of food, and not much air. How do you want to die? Slowly? Agonizingly? Or I'm not for suicide. In that instance, I'd probably do it. You know, what are you prolonging at that point? Death. Why prolong it? So she kills herself. Haman rushes in, finds her already dead. Okay? The leader. Huh, look at that. Because you read, she just ran inside the palace. So she's heard her son is dead. She hasn't heard the rest of the story. All right? The boy, yes, she has. The boy rushes out after his father, tries to stab him, doesn't. He turns around, and apparently what he does is he goes back to Antigone's body, places his sword on the ground, hilt on the ground, falls on it, and when he falls on it, he then grabs onto Antigone's body. So he stabs himself through the heart and dies hanging on her. Right? They are wed in death, seemingly. And that's when Eurydice runs out. Leader, what do you make of that? What seems to happen every time somebody rushes off the stage into the palace? There's going to be another death. Okay? So, the leader says, here comes Crayon, page 13, line 1387 or so. And he comes in, and they're burying Haman's body on a bier, on a cart. Crayon. Oh, my crimes, so senseless, so insane, my stubborn, deadly, look at us, the killer, the killed, father, son, blah, blah, blah. Lost to the world, not through your stupidity, no, my own. Leader, too late, too late. You see what justice means. What does that too late mean? What is Crayon's mental, emotional state at this point? Describe him in a physical sense. Big, massive, open wound, right? And what does the leader do? Here, let me pour some salt on that. Or rubbing alcohol, that'd be even better, you know. I've learned through blood and tears, and it was then when the God came down and struck me a great weight, etc. The agony, the heartbreaking agonies of our lives. And the messenger comes in, hold that thought. You think you've got agony? There's more inside. Go inside, you'll see it all soon. Now what? What's worse than this? Queen, she's dead too. Harbor of death, so choked, so hard to cleanse. Why me? Why are you killing me? Herald of pain, etc., etc. Okay? So they bring Eurydice out. What next? What fate still waits for me? Messenger. She stabbed herself at the altar. Her eyes went dark. She'd raised a cry for the noble fate of et cetera, et cetera. Then she, cried for Haman. And with her dying breath, she called down torments on your head. You killed her sons. And there's an implication that other sons of Creon were probably involved in the attack of the 7 against Thebes, which Creon was involved in the repelling of. Okay? So you didn't only kill Haman in Eurydice's mind, you killed her other sons too. Why not kill me too? Come on, gods. Take me away. What did I say earlier about the Furies? If not today, tomorrow. What are they going to do? They're going to draw out that pain. Okay? And the messenger, just adds to it. Yep. Her death piles all the guilt on you. So that, messenger says how she killed herself. Guilt is all mine. I killed you all. I admit it all. Take me away. Leader. Good advice if there's any good in suffering. Quickest is best when troubles block the way. Creon, let it come. He falls to his knees. Let it come. Let my fate come. What's he asking for? Give me the quick death right now, so I don't see another sunrise. Leader, that will come when it comes. Not the sunrise, your death. The leader's telling him, no, you don't get off that easy. We must deal with all that lies before us. That is, like Hamlet says, the readiness is all about when we die. We have to do what? We have to accept every moment left of life. The future rests with the ones who tend the future. The fates. See, in Greek system, Greek thought, fate wasn't just this amorphous thing that was out there. There were 3 goddesses, Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. Clotho wove the thread of each of our lives. Lachesis measured it out. For some of us, it's 20 years. For some of us, it's 2 years. For some of us, it's 100 years. And Atropos, when the time allotted was met, cuts the thread. And that's when we die. Okay? Creon, I poured my heart into that prayer. I was sincere. I was serious. No more prayers. Why? For mortal men, there is no escape from the doom we must endure. And I think what the leader is saying there, and possibly through the leader, Sophocles, prayers to these gods don't do you any good. Why? Because that's what determines everything. If you're going to pray to a god, pray to the fates. But guess what? They can't change it. Why? Because all this is done before anything is made. So they're like little robots, just following the program. Take me away. Why? A rash, indiscriminate fool. Well, we've talked about his rashness. What does indiscriminate mean? See, we think discriminate and discrimination, oh, those are bad words. No, they are not. It merely means to be able to tell between 2 different things, like this desk and this desk. Fake birchwood top, fake granite top. Concrete block, bulletin board. I just discriminated between the 2. I didn't say, well, this one's better than this one. That's not discriminating. I mean, it can be. You can say, cup, glass, whatever, drinking thing. This is better than this one. Why? Because that's cheap, you throw it away. That's expensive, and you keep it. He says he was indiscriminate. He didn't determine between right and wrong properly. Okay? Chorus, final speech. Chorus always gets the last speech in a Greek tragedy. Wisdom is by far the greatest part of joy, and reverence toward the gods must be safeguarded. That is, reverence towards the gods is an aspect of wisdom. The mighty words of the proud are paid in full with mighty blows of fate. You overstep your bounds, and fate / the gods are going to knock your legs out. And at long last, those blows will teach us wisdom. Notice how we gain wisdom. Living through adversity. Bending with those blows. Okay? I'll put a quiz up over Antigone today, today's Wednesday, for Friday. Read what's on the syllabus for the first day of the Shakespeare stuff, which is some background about Shakespeare's theater, and I think it's the first act of Midsummer Night's Dream.